Hello, it's Mr. Fiction 1, and I'm here once again to talk about my film project with the working title of Black Swans and Red Dragon Kings. This time around, I also want to talk about something that probably won't change much as the script is written, and that's the influence of the film. Really, since the film isn't a one-man project, and many things have influenced me consciously and unconsciously, the number of influence for this film is vast. However, for the sake of brevity, I will include only the most important influences in this video. One of the earliest influences of this film was the 2006 German film The Lives of Others. The film is about East German secret police spying on the lives of everyday citizens, and one secret policeman in particular, surnamed Weisler. The film influenced the main concept of the film itself, which was the idea of someone manipulating and spying on someone else remotely for an organization. Interestingly, in the film, this was done in the name of a Marxist state, but I watched this before I decided to make the film about Marxism, so maybe the film influenced me in a greater way than I think, who knows. However, a much greater influence for the film is of course Primer, the 2004 micro-budget time travel film by Shane. Those who follow the channel and my podcast already know that the film's dialogue style has greatly influenced mine, as well as the fact I stole the plot element of two guys who work in STEM, deconstructing nature for gain. However, probably no one knows the fact that I've also planned to borrow from the film's production values to get my film made. Even though this was a decision I made before being influenced by the film, like Carruth, I plan to make a film made well under $100,000. This automatically means both our films will have frugalness in common, and that similar production values will follow. However, I plan to continue to ape other aspects of Carruth's style in my frugalness. That is, I want to essentially capture Primer's feeling of almost eavesdropping on everyday people's lives, complete with natural lighting and location shoots. Why these choices? Well, it's not so much a homage to Primer or trying to be cheap as it's trying to seek what Carruth saw in terms of themes and with the same design philosophy. Since both Primer and Black Swans both deal with complex subjects and clandestine operations, it only makes sense that I would want to make the world more approachable by giving the film an almost found footage feel and populating it with otherwise everyday people dialogue. At this point of production, such a design philosophy is not guaranteed, but it can be guaranteed that the film will at least need to use micro-budget techniques that have been used by various filmmakers, including Carruth. One little note for Primer. What I really liked about the film was that it was about relationships as much as it was about time travel, which is something I've noticed can be occasionally lacking in much of sci-fi fiction. Namely, it captured the deteriorating relationship between Aaron and Abe due to the new power afforded them by time travel boxes. This idea of getting characters right in a film with a complex and possibly confusing concept has also been a huge inspiration to me making this film, even if it is such a lofty ideal. Another huge inspiration, perhaps besides the films to my movie, have been books. I have read various books on leftist philosophy to get a better grip on how my leftist characters would think. But one book in particular has influenced me the most and has nothing to do with leftism, but that is the film The Black Swan, The Impact of the Highly Improbable by Nassim Taleb. You see, in the film, and I will plan on explaining this in another video, manipulation socialism requires the manipulator to know both the habits of the person they wish to manipulate as well as the environment that they inhabit. That means that they need to account for and predict things outside of the environment that they're manipulating in. Whenever something coming in and interrupts a manipulation, it's termed a black swan event, a concept taken directly from the book of the same name. In the book, the definition of a black swan event is a bit different from the one used by the characters in the film, but the concept is similar. The book defines a black swan event to be something that comes as a surprise, has a major effect, and is often inappropriately rationalized after the fact with the benefit of hindsight, which is similar enough to what the characters talk about in the film. Honestly, the whole idea of a random event screwing up the manipulations of my characters came from just reading this book. When I first read it, quite frankly, the concepts of it blew my mind. Honestly, though, the book is much more complicated than this, as all the other books by Nassim Taleb, and I recommend you read it for yourself. Finally, my last influence was postmodernism and metamodernism. Now, I've discussed postmodernism and metamodernism before on this channel on my podcast, but briefly, let's say for now, postmodernism is a movement known for rejection of historical meta-narratives, upholding of irony, rejection of absolute truth, anti-binaryism, pastiche, deconstructionism, and acceptance of something called critical theory, a collection of critiques concerning social institutions. Metamodernism, alternatively, is a proposed successor to postmodernism, which is a movement for reconstruction, rebirth of the author, Neo-sincerity, neo-romanticism, meta-reflexivity, constructive pastiche, and oscillation between extremes. See, many of my characters espouse a postmodern worldview, Ronchini in particular. However, although these characters uphold postmodernism, the work itself is tend to be metamodernist. Briefly, this is because the way the events transpire illustrates the truth of metamodernism, especially neo-romanticism and oscillation towards the sublime. I should note that I will explain this relation between postmodern characters in a metamodernist work in a more detailed video another time. Anyway, these are the current influences for my film, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were more to come. In the meantime, this is Mr. Fiction 1, over and out.